Seraphim17 once again. This is my Battlefield 4 hard difficulty video walkthrough. We're in the South China Sea, and I believe we're about to get sieged by a couple more boats, so head forth and get nautical on their ass, because this section it's kind of boring actually, in a really stupid way. Like, I'm driving at full speed towards a boat, but it doesn't look like I'm getting any closer to it at all. It's obviously driving away from me, so it does make sense in the the world of physics. But still, this is such a weird section. Like, why would they not make my boat a little bit quicker? Maybe there's a boost. Who knows? I was holding up the entire time. That was my boost. There's certain parts of this campaign that are a little bit disconnected. The very last level. The very last thing on the last level, I'm not going to say what it is because some people don't like spoilers, even though I would like to think you'd played the game before you were watching this, unless you have no interest and what have you. But the entire last area, I didn't think it was the last area just because of how mundane the task is that we were doing. Like, you normally get a sense of urgency, a sense of, build, and then the climax, and then the fulcrum, the apex, the zenith, and nothing on this game. It's the flattest ending ever. Unbelievably flat, in fact. And I can still say I had a lot of fun with the campaign. It's a decent campaign. It's too short. It's very brief. The story is so thin that it's really hard to care, and there's the big emphasis on the characters and the development in those characters, because this time there's less people, so it's easier to get familiarized with them, but they're so bland that I don't know. I think anybody saying that they're playing Battlefield for story at this point is going to have a bad time, both from people and their credibility, and just from an enjoyment point of view. Like, people playing campaign on Battlefield will get mocked by a lot of the PC folk, which I don't really understand, because I always play the campaign before I play the multiplayer, because the campaign is half the damn disc, This chopper here is the biggest threat on this level. If anything's going to kill you, it's going to be this guy, because you have to really lead your bullets to hit it. So the good news is it dies very fast once you start nailing it, and then the only thing left here to do is to drive the boat directly onto the ship. It's going to go to a black screen and transition back to being standing, and then we can continue onwards and shoot some more people. But I'm trying to think if there's anything that I need to say strategy-wise, because there hasn't been too much I need to talk about. Oh god, that fucking... Oh, I hate that box. Goddamn box. Look at it! It's just told me how to toggle fire modes, and it keeps telling me. Like 3 fucking times. I get it. So bad. Amazingly bad. But the strategy... Oh my god, look at it. It makes me mad watching it now. You're trying to play and all it's doing is popping up like, did you know you could do this? Oh. God, it's like babysitting for someone you hate. But this is a pretty simple section as my dog barks ridiculously, as he always does in almost every... It's not my dog, it's my mum's dog, and I fucking hate it, so there's my thoughts on that. But strategies are simple on this game, they really are. I don't think there's too much to point out. Another achievement that might be the score for this level, I'm not too sure. You want to scan the rooms with your vision so you can highlight as many folks as you can. You want to change your gun to single shot so that you can get those precise targets. You want to pick the guns that you enjoy. I don't think there's any real strategy involved in what guns you choose. All I wanted was iron sights. This entire campaign, the only thing I wanted was iron sights, and the only thing I didn't get was iron sights, and it makes no sense. Every gun has some fucking lollipop sight on top of it that does the same thing as every other sight. It's just sometimes more difficult to see because it's got more lasers and lights and flashing whistles and bells, and it's just really, really strange. There doesn't have to be 9 attachments on a gun to tell me that this is a modern military shooter. And the fact that I can't change them is just dumb. So the guns that I generally chose were guns that had this one on. It's a Chinese red dot sight. I don't know the name of it. But it was one of the sights I didn't hate, so I used it. The other ones were, I think, iron sights on the M4 because it's had iron sights, and the G36 because that had iron sights. And I normally really don't like the G36 because it looks like you're looking in a keyhole. But on this game, it was really accurate and it did the same damage as the M4, and it did a lot of work for me on my first playthrough. I have no idea. I think those two choppers on this section are not meant to be shot. I think they're just trimmings. I think they're the Scooby-Doo equivalent of the corridor that repeats itself, just because it was easier to animate that way. But I gave myself 2 launchers here so that I could use them as best I can. Choppers take a lot of damage on this game, and I don't know if it's just because it's on hard or if it's just a Battlefield thing, but I expect normally 1 to 2 stingers to kill things, but that thing took 3 missiles from this launcher and a stinger, which is a little bit concerning. And I'm hoping it's not like that in the multiplayer, because air support in the multiplayer is so broken, and I'm very curious to see how it works. Something I didn't mention as well. This is all blind at this point, guys. This is my first playthrough of the game, so every piece of content from now onwards is my very first reactions, responses, and what happened. So you'll notice I'm finding a gun with an iron sight, and I'm so happy to finally have one. God, it was frustrating. But keep on moving forward. A lot of the doors don't have the symbol that tells you can open them until something happens in the game. It's one of the problems with the scripting that I have, because it's just not done well. It's done really sloppily, and it's hopefully something that the next generation is going to fix, because there's nothing worse than having to wait for your team to open a door that you should be able to open. And I understand why they do it. It's to keep themselves in control of the scenario so that they can make all the scripting work and all the enemies spawn and things. But the AI can take forever sometimes, especially on this game, because sometimes the AI doesn't do anything. The amount of times you'll see them stood way back while you're up front, you know, taking on all the bloody Chinese army and the Russians and what have you, and your buddies are just chilling out and doing nothing, which is nothing new if you've played games for a while, or if you've, you know, delved into the... I mean, look at that! Why did he take that much? That's like Killzone, that shit. Can't do with that at all. Like, any game that lets you get 1 bullet kill headshots is a game I like to play, because there's no reason you should ever have to shoot anybody as much as I just shot that other Chinese guy. He weren't even fat. It's not like he had insulation. A lot of grenades here. Luckily enough, they're bouncing off the planes. Getting some interesting combos, moving up, building up the points, which is nice. Look at this gun. I was having such a fun time using it because it was working. Like, the iron sight is not my favourite kind of iron sight, design-wise, but it's a damn sight better for me personally than those lasers. Because I can't do with some of the red dots and the holographics and stuff. There's circles, there's dots, it just, ugh, it irks me. And you might be thinking, what the hell am I on about? I really like those sights. Well, it's just a design thing. It really is. And I can fully admit that. I would rather have weapons that look aesthetically pleasing than have them be 100% accurate. And that was the first firework of the myriad of fireworks that's going to be happening on this recording, unless I do this much quicker than I am, and I can only do it so quickly because it is bonfire night. And I should have started recording this a couple hours ago, but my entire family sleeps on Sunday because that's just what they do, which was really frustrating. But what can you do? So be careful on this sequence here. There's a lot of dudes, and at one point they're going to flank behind you and in front of you, and once again the game is telling me how to swap the fucking fire modes. Yes! God, I mean, who is so disabled that they need to be told this many times to do something you don't even have to do? It's not like saying, press this to win. All that's doing is, did you know you can change the fire modes? Yes. You told me 9 times in that last level, and now you're doing it again. That's not mentioning I'm changing the fire modes. I'm a single shot kind of guy. But here's an ammo crate. I was going into the crate to fill up on ammo. You don't actually need to do that. If you pay attention, which I apparently wasn't, if you just go near it, it'll swap. It'll give you the upgrade, so you should be fine. But what's going to happen here is a bunch of carriers are going to turn up and start dropping off troops. You need to trigger this first, this little incident with Kovic. Which, once again, another character that I don't really understand how I'm supposed to be attached to him, considering he's had the development of a cushion. But there you go. And we didn't even like him when he joined the team. You know, he was just a guy who took responsibility, so why should I be bothered that he now looks a little bit like Michael Biehn in Terminator at the end? Which apparently, the pronunciation of his name is Bean, but I'm sorry, I refuse to pronounce it like that because it sounds so douchey. It sounds much more manly every other way but that. Michael Bean? I can't do it. My childhood won't allow me. But look how many shots this damn carrier just took. I have no idea why the vehicles on this game take so much. Which I suppose if you're playing in the multiplayer, it's a good thing, because you can get in with your friends and you can cause havoc, and you know, you're not instantly taken down like you would be in a Call of Duty. But when you're up against the computer and you fire something really explosive at a big flying piece of metal filled with fuel, it's usually a little bit more fun for it to die sooner rather than later. That's just me though. But back to the difficulty discussion, because I've gone to it twice now and I've not really finished the thought that I originally had. So if you want the full tangent to this, you will have to watch the full guide, I'm afraid. But what I was saying, the gist of the entire conversation is the stats of players who buy games and never finish them is much larger than you will ever really conceive. It is. It's a crazy statistic. And the problem is, we're all animals of our own, habits. Our frame of references are much different to big statistical spreadsheets, and we don't get that information. So, you and all your friends might beat every game you play. You might be really good gamers. You might really love playing, whatever game you play. Doesn't mean everybody is. Doesn't mean a large percentage of people are. So, when people say core gamer, it's the person who doesn't beat the games. It's the person who plays, for maybe 1 or 2 hours on a Saturday and then doesn't touch it all week. The core gamer is the person buying, and there are much more who are quite relaxed and don't game that often than there are that are super, super serious. It's just fact, guys, because there's a lot of fucking people, and not all of them are like us. The freaks that sit in the basement all day in their vests and masturbate to hardcore pornography, cover themselves in Cheetos and play video games until their acne finally takes over their body and they become one giant piece of bulbous pus. Which is an awful thought, and it isn't true at all, it's just a stereotype. But large percentage of people don't even beat the games. Even larger percentages than that are people that don't even touch them on the harder difficulties. So maybe it's getting to the point now where devs are realising that the harder difficulties aren't really something that are necessary or aren't something that should be focused on, because it's such a diminished return of the effort they put into the amount of people that even dabble in the difficulties. Because if you think about it, what do difficulties do? Why do they exist? Simple. So that they can apply their game to any measure of skill. If you're a bad player, this is not a judgment, this is just a fact, then they have an easy mode for you, where you can take it at your pace or you can relax. I'm not saying that all bad players, play easy mode, or if you play easy mode you are a bad player. I'm just saying, if your skills aren't enough to succeed on normal, you can have easy. If your skills are superior to normal, you can have hard. The entire purpose of difficulty is to tailor the experience to the player, which is something that I think we'll never get away from. So I don't think it is obsolete, and I don't think it ever will be. But more to come in the future videos if I can remember to get back on tangent. So thank you for watching, guys, and you take care now.